Greetings, loved ones. Today we are going to talk about understanding victims of domestic violence and their lives. To help get these messages out, please subscribe to our channel so you don't miss a single episode. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and hit that like button. And please share these messages with others because you never know, you might just save a life by doing so. Being a victim caught up in a domestic violence dispute can happen to just about anybody. Regardless of their circumstances, violence shows favoritism to no one. There isn't a person on this planet that is immune to it. It doesn't matter your gender, age, race, education, income level, religion, sexual orientation, or marital status. Domestic violence can show its ugly head and razor-sharp teeth to anyone. Men and women can both be victims. In most cases, women are usually the victims, while more times than not, men are found to be the aggressors. Nearly 95% of every assault that happens between spouses or partners, men are found to be the aggressor against the woman. If a child is living in the home where domestic violence is taking place, there's a greater chance that they will also become a victim. There's an overwhelming fear that results in silence for victims of domestic abuse. Fear can be crippling for victims of domestic violence, and there are a number of factors that can create fear among them, causing them to keep silent. Here are some common concerns among different people and their circumstances. Male victims may feel afraid that nobody will believe them. It may just be embarrassing for them just to talk about it, and it violates the machismo culture for a man to be a victim of violence at the hands of his woman. People of different color reaching out to people for help outside of one's own race can bring about unwanted scrutiny from family and friends of the same color. And when you're from a higher social class, fear of people finding out about their situation can bring ruin to their family, name, and business. Victims who are physically or mentally challenged or are elderly, victims in these situations are usually dependent on the care from their aggressor, and they may feel that there's no one else that they could possibly take care of them. Victims who are gay, lesbian, or transgender may feel afraid of anyone finding out about their sexual orientation. They may think that their family and friends will turn their backs on them. And migrants, there's the possibility that they could be deported if they report the abuse. They may even be concerned that the abuser could be deported as well. And then there's teenagers who may be dating a domestic violence person and feel that they are unable to end the relationship. The abuser may constantly put them down or physically hurt them. They may even be forced to have sex, do drugs or alcohol with that individual. And it can be hard for a teenager to leave an abusive relationship because they go to the same school and there's no way to hide. So some people are at greater risk for domestic violence than others. And so who are the victims of family violence? It's already been mentioned that a victim could be anyone, but that's not to say that certain people aren't at a greater risk. As researchers over the years have analyzed and compared information between domestic violence cases, they've noticed that victims had a few or several of these characteristics in common. So these are the higher risk factors. Struggles with low self-esteem, has a poor self-image of themselves, uncertain of their needs. They think they might be able to change the abuser, or they believe that they can't do anything to stop the violence, or they think that the abuser's jealousy is proof that they love them. So let's talk about some characteristics for female victims of violence. Most domestic violence cases reveal that the women are more often the victim, 95% of the cases. These are also common characteristics of women that are at greater risk of becoming a domestic violence victim. Every case is different, and victims may have one or several of these indicators in common. They've previously been abused, they feel stuck in a poor situation, they may be an alcohol or substance abuser, or their partner is an alcohol or substance abuser. Maybe they've requested a restraining order on the abuser, or they've recently left the abuser. They're pregnant, they don't speak English, or they hold to the traditional belief that women should be submissive to men. So what about children growing up in violent homes? Domestic violence can be felt by more than the woman. Children can become secondhand victims to the domestic violence even when it's not directly aimed at them. For the most part, it usually happens behind closed doors, but believe me, the child usually knows what's going on. They may not see the physical abuse that's happening, but they can hear the yelling and the hitting and the cries from one of their parents. Just because a child is not being hurt directly does not mean that they are not in extreme danger. If a child gets involved by trying to stop the violence, they could be seriously injured. There's also the possibility of being hit by flying objects that are being thrown in their direction or by weapons that are being used. And this can lead to a lot of confusion and mixed emotions for the child. Not only do they feel helpless to the situation, but they're usually scared and often angry. In some cases, children may even feel responsible for what is going on. These children usually don't get the care that they need at home. They may also struggle to sleep at night or have trouble in the classroom. Getting along with others might not come easy, and they may feel scared or sad most of the time. Pardon. Unfortunately, these problems won't go away on their own and will carry on into their adult lives if they don't receive the help that they need. In Honduras, the law states that if a child is present when violence occurs between parents, then it is not only domestic violence, but it can also be raised to a family violence level. As you think about how women and children live in violent situations, ask yourself if any of this sounds familiar. Do you know someone who is suffering violence? If you do, then do something. Say something. You could be the person who saves a life. You're called. We are all called to be champions for justice. And those who suffer violence need to know that those who love them and those who don't even know them will step out and reach out to them to give them the courage and the help they need to leave before it's too late. The question is not if you will encounter a victim of violence. The question is, what will you do when you encounter them? And if you're a victim, I want you to know this. You're valued, you're loved, you're intelligent, you're beautiful. God does not want you to suffer from violence. He wants you to live free from violence in peace and tranquility. There is a way out. Abuse is not love. And if you are a victim of violence and or find yourself in a dangerous situation, call 911 for help. But also reach out to someone. Tell somebody what's happening so that they can help you. This series is dedicated in honor of Gabby Petito, a bright young woman whom the world has lost because of gender violence. To help get these messages out, please subscribe to our channel so you don't miss a single episode. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Hit the like button, and please share these messages with others. You never know. Just by doing so, you could save a life. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about why abusers isolate their victims. I feel we need to continue addressing this theme. So until then, God bless you.